Today I'm going to make another snowflake wreath, but instead of using the unique in the creek form, I'm going to use a wire form. I've had several people ask me if this can be done on a wire form. I'm going to show you how. This is the wreath that I made 2 weeks ago and it turned out beautiful. I used a small unique in the creek board and I love how it turned out. So if we want to go with the same size as this, I'm going to show you if we use the 14-inch from Dollar Tree. That's definitely a lot bigger, somewhat bigger, I will say, than the small unique in the creek board. I personally, if we use this, you would have one more row that you would need to use. So I'm not going to use this. I think I want to kind of stay with the same size and everything like that. Now, if we use this 12-inch, that is pretty much exactly the same size around the outside. But remember, we only used these holes. We didn't use any of these outside holes. So you can use this. I would put the petals right on this inner ring and just go from there. Okay, that outer row of petals would go right on that inner ring. So what I'm going to do instead, I have a bunch of these 10-inch forms. Okay, and what I'm going to do with this, that first row is going to go on this second ring from the outside. Okay, and I'm going to show you how to do it here in just a few. So like we would do with any kind of flower or anything like that, I'm going to do the exact same thing and take the plastic canvas and I'm going to trace the inside of this form. Okay, using my Sharpie. Okay, and then I'm going to cut this out. So I cut this out and now I just want to attach it to the inside ring using 4-inch zip ties. And when I attach this, what I want to do is kind of keep it so it's not, I don't want to tighten the zip tie too much. Okay, tighten it just enough so it stays on, but we don't want to tighten it all the way. And I'll show you why here in just a sec. Okay, so here I left this very loose. And the reason why I wanted to do this, I wanted to make sure that I can move this grid of the plastic canvas so it's directly left and right. Okay, and I want to keep it like right with the top of this. I want this crossbar to be the top of my wreath. Okay, so let's make sure that the grid of the plastic canvas, I can go straight up and down. I'm using my cutting mat as my guide. Now I'm gonna tighten these up. Okay, you know what? That was over just a little too far. I'm gonna use a different zip tie and redo this one. Okay, so again, we're going to make sure with this being straight up and down, got that. Okay, I think that's pretty good. If you want to add more zip ties just to make sure it's on there really good, go ahead and do that. I think I'm going to add a couple. Okay, so there we go. We have this on really good. And I'm going to rip this off. Okay, so I'm going to use my Sharpie one more time. And I want to make sure I have lines drawn, okay, because we are going to have 8 points. So I want to make sure we can't go by how many sections or anything like that that we have in this ring form. We have to go kind of with what lines I'm going to be drawing. Okay, so I'm going to draw a line that goes straight down. Again, using that grid of the plastic canvas. And then I'm going to go straight across. So I want to make sure that I am right in the square like this. The inside ring pretty much comes to like where this square is, like that gray square. Okay, so I want to go by that and make sure I know where my, divide that in 4. Okay, now from this point, you can see these lines right here on the cutting mat. That is a 45-degree angle. So I'm going to do this right here. See where that 45 degree is? I got it right there in the center. So I'm going to go up all that way. Now I'm going to turn this way, and I'm going to use that again and make sure I'm at my 45 degree. Okay, so now we have, you can see I have all 8 lines, which would take me to all the 8 points. Okay, so first of all, what we are going to be using is, it's called a deluxe wide foil mesh. I have white iridescent, and then I have a purple. They have a lot of foil to them, so they are very shiny. I love using them. Perfect for a snowflake. Okay, I'm going to bring my cutting board up here. I'm going to use a wood burning tool. I have this very well used wood burning tool, and I'm using a chisel tip on this. Now I'm going to be cutting this into 10 by 10 inch pieces. However, this is just like 10 1/4 inch long. So I'm going to go just over 10-inch mark whenever I cut this. The petals that we are using in this snowflake, the edges don't show, so you really don't have to use a wood burning tool. I just like to because it makes it a little bit easier to work with, and yeah, it's just a little bit easier. What I'm going to do though, I'm going to cut this just like that first inch off. Now I want to show you, if you can see, there's some smoke coming up off of this. I don't care what mesh you're using, it will smoke. You should always either make sure that you are in a well ventilated area, turn on a fan, wear a good mask. I'm not doing that right now because I want to make sure you can hear me, but you should always use precautions because that can be dangerous. So, okay, so what I'm going to do, right here is my 10-inch mark. I'm going to cut this just over that 10-inch mark. Okay, go nice and slow. Make sure you cut right within the lines. Even if it goes a little wonky, make sure you cut within that line. It does help with the fraying, okay? And that's it. We're just going to use this I'm going to do the same thing. I did the same thing using the iridescent white, and we're going to start making all these petals. Okay, so for our first petal, I'm just going to use one of these purples, and I have the finished edge on the top and bottom. It really doesn't matter, but this is just the way I do it. Okay, so I'm going to turn it into a diamond shape, bring one end down to the other. Okay, now right here in the middle, I'm going to stretch it just, well, a lot. Okay, I'm going to stretch it out. Then I'm going to take one piece here and just bring it down, keeping my finger right there. Okay, then I'm going to bring the other side down, and I'm going to have those edges kind of come right together, and I'm going to make sure that down here they're nice and even. And then right about here, right where this first little corner is, just above it, I'm going to squeeze those together. Use a 4-inch zip tie. You can use a rubber band, whatever you want. And I'm going to shut that. Okay. Now you can see this is kind of open right here. I don't want that to be open. I want these to be nice and like have a nice tip on this. So what I've been doing, I'll use my little clip here. It's a little clothespin. You can use a chip clip, whatever you want. And I'm just going to clip that shut. And I leave it overnight. I'm going to show you. These are ones that I did yesterday, and I had these clipped overnight. And look at that. It's just kind of, it kind of trains that to stay at a point. So this is going to be perfect. This one here, I'm just going to keep that clip on it until I'm done with the wreath. Hopefully by then that will be trained to stay at a point. Okay. And then after this though, I'm going to cut that off. I'll trim up this little bottom here. And we're good to go. I have the other 7 made, so I have 8 altogether, and I will show you how I'm going to put these on the wreath. Okay, so I have all of these petals here. Okay, now if you want, you can put this on with this seam side up. I'm going to turn these over so it's seam side down. Okay, that's just my preference. You can do whatever you want, but I'm going to use, again, this is my top, remember? So I'm going to use this crossbar right here, and I'm going to stick one of these down right in there. Now, see which way I have this zip tie? It's going like from the bottom left up to the top right. So it makes this kind of go to the left a little bit. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to cut this off. And then I'm going to crisscross. I'm going to go from the bottom right to the top left. And just crisscross these. And when you tighten it up, it straightens that petal right up. Okay. Now, and what I'm going to do from here, I'm going to use these grid lines that I used here, and I'm going to put one right here. And again, I'm going to do that crisscross method. Whichever way I went first I'm going to go the opposite way and just kind of crisscross it just to make that petal go straight. Okay, so I want that to go straight up, all the way straight to that point. And I'm going to go all the way around using that grid. Okay, and if you feel, if you have to adjust these so that they are properly aligned and everything, you can kind of, you can still move these around just a little bit. So go ahead and move them so they're perfectly in line with these grid lines. Okay, and I will be right back with our next petal. So to make this next petal, we're going to need 2 10 by 10 of the white and 1 of the purple. And what we're going to do, I'm going to take 1 of the white, turn it into a diamond shape, bring this down, bring the corner up to the folded edge, and we're not going to go all the way. We're going to leave about a 1/2 inch. Okay, and then we're going to fold 1 more time. Now this petal was very similar to the daisy chain. Okay, so I'm going to bring this around. I'm going to take my clip here. Okay, then I'm going to take the purple. I'm going to do the exact same thing. Turn it to a diamond, bring this down. Corner up, leaving about a 1/2 inch. Fold it up again, at least a 1/4 of an inch away from the top. So I'm going to bring that around and make sure that the single folded side is what is facing the front. Okay, and I'm going to bring that around that first one and clip those together. Same thing with this third piece. Do the exact same thing. Okay, I'm going to bring that around that very top, take that clothespin off, and then I'm going to zip tie it. Now what I like to do, I like to make sure from the very top to where I'm going to put the zip tie is 6 inches. That way they're all, every single one of them is the same. Okay, we're not going to have one short one, one tall one. They're all going to match. Okay, then just clip this off, and then I will cut this bottom off here. Okay, so this is actually called the Liz petal. I like to call this the keyhole daisy chain just because it has a little keyhole. You'll see we are going to do a daisy chain here coming up, and very similar to this, except the inside is turned so you don't have a keyhole, and you'll see that coming up. Okay, so we have our wreath here. Right now I'm not even worried about where's the top or anything like that, okay? Because we have our grid already here. We know where we're going to put all this stuff, okay? So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take my 6-inch zip tie, and I'm going to put it right here on the inside of this ring. I'm going to go in one hole, skip one hole, come out the other. And then I'm going to place this right in there, making sure that the single folded side is facing the front. You don't want that double-sided facing the front. I'm going to stick this in here. Now, if you want to use an 8-inch zip tie, you are more than welcome. But I'm going to show you how you can see this through this keyhole. That way we got a little bit more of the purple showing. Okay. And then I'm just going to keep putting these on all the way around, right on that line. Okay, so to make the Star Trek petal, again, another 10 by 10 piece. We're going to fold it, take it to a triangle, and bring this down. Okay, now from this point, we're going to take the one corner right along that flat side, okay, bring it over. And there is your Star Trek shape here, okay? I'm going to bring this to the side. What I like to do, I like to slide my finger right here and have my thumb and other fingers right over here as I'm holding on to the edge here. Bring that up. So it kind of looks like a shoe, okay? Or something similar. And I'm going to just adjust that, just kind of make sure that they're side by side there. Then with this finger, I'm going to just push that right down and bring these together. I'll take my 6-inch zip tie. Again, I'm going to measure right about the 6-inch mark. If it's a little bit less, more like 5.5, I think we'll be okay. Just try to make sure that they're all very similar. Okay. Cut that off, and we're going to trim this up. To put these Star Trek petals in, what I'm going to do is right in between these, again, as close to this inner ring as we can get. I'm just going to go in one hole, again, kind of skip a hole and come out the other. Start my zip tie. And then if you want to put it up this way, you can do whichever way you want to do. I'm going to do this facing with this concave facing up. Okay. And that's it. And I'm just going to do that all the way around. Okay, and we want to make sure that all of these are nestled down in between these Liz petals, or the keyhole daisy chain, whichever you want to call it. Okay, and now we are going to go one row in, and I'll show you how to make our next petal. Okay, so I'm going to make the daisy chain petal. Okay, so what I'm going to do, same thing as we did before, turn it into a diamond, bring this down, up, and up. Fold that down. Okay, and clip that together. Now, do the same thing with the second one. Fold that up and up, and bring that around. Now, instead of doing it this way like we did before, I'm just going to have this over to the side. And I'm going to bring this around. Okay, take that clip out. Kind of make sure you kind of want this pretty close to the top of what's the mesh that's on the inside. Okay, again, I'm going to measure 6 inches. Cut this off, and we're going to cut the bottom. Okay, so I have 4 of these daisy chain petals made and 4 more of these Star Trek petals. Now you can see I cut these maybe a ½ an inch away from that zip tie. Okay, because we are going to try our darndest to get all 8 of these to fit in that middle, the next row in, and that's going to be pretty tight, but we're going to do our best. It's going to work. Okay, so pretty much right where these end, I'm going to put this zip tie right in here. And again, we are going to be using these lines that we drew. So I'm going to use this first, this daisy chain first. It really doesn't matter which one you do. Okay, it's going right in front of one of these keyhole daisies. Okay, now I'm going to go skip this one and do another daisy chain right here. So right in front of this keyhole. Okay, so these other lines right here, we're going to be sticking these Star Trek petals right again in between these daisy chains. And yes, we want that concave up. So you may want to adjust these just a little bit. Make sure it's all good and centered. Make sure you can't see anything that you're not supposed to see behind it, which I think we're good there. Okay, so now all I'm going to do is the center. Now I have this center already made. Okay, now I would love to show you how I make this. My friend Laura Grisham, she makes these centers. She does this one. I don't think she does this exact one, but she does ones very similar to this. And I'm just going to put that into the center of my wreath. Now, my friend Laura, like I said, she makes these. She also has a tutorial on how to make them yourself. So I highly suggest watching her videos. It is a paid tutorial, but it's definitely worth it. Okay, I'm going to put this right around the back, tie this on. Make sure that's good in center where I want it, and we're done. Okay guys, it's time to celebrate with a glass of wine again. We got this wreath done. Isn't it beautiful? Now this video was for people who wanted to know if we could do the snowflake wreath on a wire form instead of the unique in the creek form. So, okay, so let me show you. I have this one here. It's sold, and before I ship it away, I want to make sure I had this video to show you the difference between the two. Now, besides the color, they look the same, right? They're the same size. Everything is good. They turned out great. The only difference is the back, okay? The base that we used is the only difference, and I think it turned out fantastic. I know everybody wants to know how I did the center, and I do apologize, but I cannot show you how I did it. All I can do is refer you to my friend Laura Grisham, who has paid tutorials on how to make this. It's a lot of work, but it's a lot of fun. Something so different from the norm, and I love it. So, and I'm addicted to making these. So I definitely suggest checking out her videos and give her some love, okay? So let me know what you think. Is purple just a crazy color for a snowflake? I love it. I don't care. If you love purple like I do, you'll love this. So cheers, everybody. My name is Patty Davis. I'm with Crooked Tree Creations, and I'll see you in our next video.